Hey guys, welcome to another video. My name is Katharina and I created the Young Life Project, and this is Chelsea.
Hi guys.
She's a life coach, and today we're just sitting down and I'm going to ask her a few questions about how to find clarity about your direction in your 20s. So Chelsea, can you just introduce yourself,
Yes.
what you do, how you came to be a life coach, all
Sure
that.
thing. Yep, so as Katharina said, I'm Chelsea and I am now a Millennial life coach. So the reason I got into life coaching, and more specifically career coaching, is because my story is I was ticking all the right boxes. Well, I thought I was. I was working hard at school, worked hard at university, found a job that I thought I was going to be in for the rest of my life. And when I was 28, that all fell apart. And I realized that this wasn't the job that I wanted to do every day for the rest of my life. So if it wasn't this job, then what? And I felt really confused, overwhelmed, and my confidence and my self-esteem really took a beating at that time. And I didn't know how to manage the situation. So much of my identity was caught up in my my career and who I thought I was in my workplace. And so I threw the baby out with the bathwater and I just quit my job with no plan. No plan, no direction. I had no idea what to do. And the reason I'm passionate about life coaching is because if I'd met a career coach or a life coach at that time, I really feel like they would have been able to help me get that direction that I really needed. So instead of going to a life coach, I just went traveling for 18 months. I packed up and I just hiked all around the world, and I just went on this journey of self-discovery. But that was a great thing for me to do at that time, but I just want to encourage those of you who are out there who are feeling how I was feeling and tempted to just drop everything and to go traveling for 18 months. I just want to let you know you don't have to do that. It's a great thing to do, but another fantastic thing to do is to engage with a life coach to help you get that career direction and clarity so that you can start moving forwards in your life rather than putting it on pause and traveling for 18 months, 2 months to 2 years, however long it is that you're planning on going traveling for.
I actually love that because I was in that same position. I thought, for a while I thought traveling was the way to go and kind of to find myself. And I think a lot of people say oh, if I'm lost, I'm just going to go pack up my bags and travel, and that can help, but it's not always the solution. As you will find.
Yeah.
And yeah, Chelsea's actually my life. Have I mentioned that? Yeah, Chelsea's my life coach. So I actually started working with her about 6 months ago, and that's why I'm interviewing you today. And I'm just gonna ask her a few questions now about how you can find your direction in your life and how you can find out what you might want to do. So we're going to switch spots now because this one's a bit, I think the sun's kind of going down, so we're going to find a different spot. So
Great.
Found a spot that's a bit more shady and the lighting's a lot better. Anyway, so one thing that I want to ask you first is nowadays everyone's confused. Everyone seems to be confused about what they want to do in their life. And I think all the people that I've talked to, all my friends, everyone's just kind of reaches this quarter life crisis, and I feel like that never used to be a thing, but why do you think nowadays people are so confused and don't really know what they want to do with their life, or they don't have clarity? Why do you think that is?
Look, I think there's lots of reasons, but for the sake of time, I'll just quickly touch base on two of them. So the first one is overwhelm. We have access to so much information. There are so many different career options now than there have ever been. It's new pathways to make money just keep opening up. We're given so much opportunity and so many different ways to be able to progress our personal careers, but as well as corporate careers. So I think that for young people, especially young people who are highly creative, highly intelligent, highly skilled in so many areas, it's hard to really narrow down what that one career path is going to look like, because there's many different options that can be taken. And with that overload of information, it can quickly become overwhelming to make the pressure mounts to make that one decision that that is going to determine the rest of your life. So I think people freak out a bit about that, especially in their early 20s, and I feel like that comes up again in their late 20s, around age 28, when they've chosen this career path and are having doubts about whether they've made the right decision.
Right.
So another reason why I think this like confusion and overwhelm kicks in is because of a differing values set to our parents. Baby boomers were big on choosing that one career path and sticking to it for your entire life. Yep.
Yeah.
And I feel like that pressure has trickled down to our generation as well. Like all this pressure on us, like you've got to make this right decision, you've got to know what you want to do for the rest of your life, and you've got to stick to it and like work your way up that ladder. And that's a lot of pressure for us at a young age to make that big decision when we don't know ourselves perhaps as well as we would like, or we don't know ourselves well enough to know what career we're going to love doing for the next 30, 40, 50 years. So the good news is that things have really changed and we don't need to adopt that pressure and have that fear, because people are changing careers all the time. It's no longer seen as strange or unusual, but I think in the back of our psyche, we still have our parents' values and we fear what other people will think of us if we choose to change careers. So we really want to make sure that we're making that right decision. But the way I work with people in helping them transition careers is giving themselves permission to change careers and realizing that it's okay.
So what's one thing that people can do to find clarity? Like, what's your best tip?
Well, at the beginning of my coaching program, whenever I work one-on-one with anyone, it's all about going back to foundations, like nailing your identity, knowing who you are. And this can seem like a really scary, overwhelming thing, but it's also a very simple thing. Like doing activities, very practical activities, like knowing what your top 5 values are, knowing your Myers-Briggs personality type, knowing what your core needs are. Like these things really help us identify who we are as individuals and what type of career or lifestyle is going to bring us meaning and satisfaction in the long term. So yeah, these basic principles of knowing values and knowing your needs is just fundamental to knowing what's going to fulfill you in a career.
That's a really good point. Yeah, I think like the values thing is probably the most important thing that helped me the most as well. But like, how do you, like if you're just getting into that and you have no idea what your values are or your needs, like how do you get into that and how do you find them?
Yeah, sure. So there's heaps of online tools to be able to find this stuff. Like if
so
you're...
many. Yeah.
Sure.
That's overwhelming in itself, like all the tools out there.
Okay, so I highly recommend, like if you're interested in knowing more about your personality type, I highly recommend that you go to a website called 16 Personalities and take their free personality test. It's based on the Myers-Briggs personality type indicator test type, but it's just a very modern take on it, and it's got beautiful graphics, it's very user-friendly, the summaries are fantastic. So I highly recommend that you take that test and have a quick overview, a quick read of what some of your personality type like indicators are, like your strengths, your weaknesses, careers that are suited to your personality type, what type of like nuances you're likely to bring into a romantic relationship or just even platonic relationship or your work relationships. All these things can be so helpful just to help you understand yourself better, which is going to enable you to make decisions about your career that are more in alignment with your personality type. Yeah,
so,
and I'm sure there are some of you watching though who are like, I don't like personality tests because I feel like they're too generic or they box me in or they're too simplistic. And I just want to say to you people that you don't have to take them like word
like
for
literally,
word.
Yeah.
Like the tool is not designed to lock you in and to be a black and white document about who you are. It's just there to help you understand yourself better, and you can take away from it what is helpful and leave aside what is not helpful or what you don't identify with. So just don't feel like it has to don't feel too boxed in with that tool. It's just a tool to help you get clarity.
So because I'm quite a personal development junkie, and I feel like a lot of you who are watching this might also love like reading books and like watching videos about this sort of stuff. What's your one book that you would recommend to someone who wants to find more clarity in their life?
Okay, so I read heaps of books on this topic of quarter life crisis and finding a career you love. And if you want something that's just an enjoyable read and to hear some other stories and life experiences from other people who have been through this situation, I highly recommend reading Not My Jam by Kate Dodgson.
Jam or jam?
Jam.
Like jam. Oh,
J-A-M.
okay.
Yeah, like a jar of jam.
Like a jar of jam. This is not my jam.
That's the picture on the front of the book.
Oh, really?
It's a jar of jam.
That's so funny. But I know what it implies. That's cool.
Yeah,
okay.
so Not My Jam. She's an Australian author, so I love highly recommending her book as well, because she can really identify with those of you who are Australian and are going through this issue. She been a very hard worker from day one. She worked really hard at school and university, became a lawyer. Her dream was to work at The Hague and be a war crimes prosecutor, so she reached that goal, and quite young as well. She reached it in her 20s, and once she'd achieved that goal, she became quite depressed and struggled with some mental health issues, and really went through a severe quarter-life crisis in her late 20s, so much so that she couldn't continue on in that role anymore, and she had a complete reevaluation of her life. And so she went out and started interviewing people all over the world who experienced this similar problem that she herself was going through. And so this book is filled with people's life experience who have come up against a quarter-life crisis and how they overcame it.
And on that note, I wanted to ask you, what's one thing that if you could tell your 16-year-old self anything, what would that be?
I would tell myself just to go with your gut. Like, you know what it is that you want to do, and don't let the thoughts, opinions, or perceptions of others slow you down or sway you into doing what you feel called to do or feel passionate about or want to pursue. I was really blessed that my parents are very supportive in all my life decisions. However, there's always going to be some subconscious thing going on where you feel like that people expect something of you, like that either expect you to go to university, or you don't want to disappoint your parents, so you choose to work as hard as you can in
something else.
A career that is like a good, stable career choice, and I knew deep down that my parents just wanted me to be happy, but I also did feel like this obligation to work super hard, go to university, and get the stable job. Yeah. And so if I could tell my 16-year-old self anything, I would just remind her, your parents just want you to be happy, just do what makes you happy and pursue your passions.
And they'll be happy as well.
That's right.
So we switched locations once again. This has turned out to be a really nice walk. Who knew that the back of Docklands in Melbourne is so nice. But yeah, so the second last question I want to ask you is about the education system, because obviously, there's a lot of things that are kind of good with it, but also a lot of things that we could change.
Yes.
So if you could change one thing about the current education system, what would that be?
Okay, well, for me personally, because I'm an avid hiker, I'm obsessed with being outdoors and hiking and being in the wilderness and having that wilderness experience. I really feel that having more of those wilderness experiences incorporated into the education system would be so beneficial for students and for young people, because for me, I love going on 7-day hikes, right? Just nothing but me and my backpack and a compass and going out in the wilderness for 7 days.
Wow.
And,
you do that? That's amazing.
I love it.
So
and
cool.
that has built up so much resilience and mental strength in me, and also confidence, knowing that I can go outdoors for 7 days with nothing but a map and compass and what's on my back and survive and not die out there. That just really empowers me and strengthens me mentally, so I can have that resilience to handle more of life's challenges. And I feel like if that skill was incorporated into the school curriculum, that young people would be better equipped to deal with the tragedies and the difficulties that
everyday life
them.
Things as well. Yeah, so true.
Yes.
Cool. So last question. What's the one thing, because I like to be quite actionable, because you could be watching a video and be like, yeah, true, I agree, but then you just go about your day. So what's the one thing that you wish, or you think people should do after watching this video? What's the one thing they can do to find clarity in their life?
Yeah, something that you can do that doesn't take that long and is highly effective is to know what your top 5 values are. So if you want to do an activity that gives you a lot of bang for your buck, download. Katharina's going to put it in the show notes. The link to download your a sheet of values, or you could just find one on Google. But anyway, just get a hold of a list of 100 values and go through them. Circle any value that stands out to you. So it might be things like hard work, or family, or success,
So I'm just gonna hold this like this.
compassion, or yeah, anyway, this list will have a whole bunch of different things on it that you can choose to identify with. Some of these values you'll identify with more strongly than others. So to complete this activity, you just need to go through the list, circle any that stand out to you, then go back through that list and start crossing off the ones that are less important to you than others. And once you've narrowed it down to perhaps a top 10, then you can start to categorize them more. And like some of the values might be very similar. For example, love, community, and connection might all come up for you as being like one of your top 10 values, and you can probably group all of those together into the one value of love or community or whatever it is that you feel like your highest is. And also the point is that you memorize these values, because knowing what these top 5 values are for you means that you will be able to make like your life decisions and choose your career path based on what your top 5 values are. So it's really important that you've memorized them and that you know what they are off the top of your head, and the only way you can do that is by keeping it to 5. Unfortunately, our brains just can't hold any more than that.
I love that.
Them.
I love that. And I'm gonna link that sheet so you can get free access to it in the description box below. And sorry about me changing my arms, changing my hands, where I don't have a tripod, so I'm like holding it, so that's why it's a bit shaky. I'm sorry about that. Anyway, thank you so much for letting me interview you. It's been really good. I think we talked about some really good topics. And it's been so lovely just hanging out in Melbourne. I hope you enjoyed the few snippets in here as well. And so if you want to find out more about Chelsea and like get a free session as well, she does free strategy sessions.
That's right.
Yep. So if you want to, if you're stuck and you kind of feel like you want to work with a coach, I'll leave all the links to Chelsea's website and all her free tools as well down below, so you can check them out. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.
Bye.
It's gonna be like the outtakes.